Welcome everybody. If you like our live streaming videos and you want to watch them without the introductory music, just go to my website and click on the new video tab on the right side, and you can watch our live streaming videos without all.
Well, their leaders have often stated that if only they could pay an Arab $1 million to attack Israel, they could fulfill all their messianic plans to destroy the Arab people. They are the terrorists. They are the genocidal maniacs who want to kill off these people who have done nothing to them.
Well, in your view,
than that, this is what they are taught by their religion. Their religion.
Right, and then what specifically in this? I mean, the Ezekiel passage does give the present movement of this plan they've got. What led up to that Ezekiel plan? What in Scripture and what in the Bible brought them to that Ezekiel passage where they go up against Gog and Magog?
The Babylonian captivity. They wanted to exact revenge upon the world for what had happened to them. But what's really underlying all of it is racism. And the only way that they could prevent Jews from assimilating into other peoples was to kill off all the other peoples. And that is the plan that is spelled out in Ezekiel 38 and 39, and it is the prophetic plan of Isaiah that all of humanity must perish so that there is no chance for the Jews to assimilate into the lower peoples who they consider to be cattle.
Now, is there truth in the fact that the people that are perpetrating this are actually Ashkenazis and in fact not pure Semites and not even the group described so clearly in the Bible?
Absolutely.
So this is basically just a bunch of malarkey.
Well, it would be malarkey regardless of that, but yes, that's certainly true. And in addition to that, Christians have been duped into not only believing that these are the authentic tribes of the Israelites, and the 12 tribes have never been regathered back into Israel as was prophesied. Revelations itself says that the battle with Gog and Magog will be post-millennial, which means 1,000 years after Christ returns. So these Christians are fools who have been fooled into destroying themselves for the sake of people who hate them. Now, the Americans are in a very precarious situation because what the designs that Israel are carrying out will trap the American forces in Iraq between Syria and Iran. And I suspect that what they're going to do is they will next attack Syria, which will provoke Iran to attack the American forces, and they will use that as a pretext to launch a nuclear strike against Iran and say, see, we're the great heroes who have saved the United States. But in fact, what they are doing by their heinous actions is jeopardizing the lives of not only the soldiers in America, but of all humanity.
Well, it looks like, and we discussed this as well, the possibility of using tactical nuclear weapons, which that theater has already discussed it at very, very high levels within the Pentagon. There are a lot of military men who've actually left the service because they thought what was being discussed around them was madness. And some of them have come out and spoken out about the madness, and they've been marginalized by a lot of people. But the fact is, this discussion is not new to American military, is it?
No, the NATO had plans for neutron bombs should the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact launch a tank ground war against Western Europe. They had contingency plans to respond with neutron weapons because they lacked corresponding tank forces to repel that force. And they will utilize those arguments and those philosophies against the Iranians. But we have to look at the broader picture. What deals have the Israelis made with the Russians, with the Indians, with the Chinese? Because Pakistan is another nation right up against Iran, and who knows what will happen with them, and they also have nuclear weapons. Now these...
Well, is there any guarantee that Iran can't get their hands on a couple of devices?
I wouldn't be surprised if the Israelis were to supply them with them and to use them against the American forces in Iraq. These people are not out for peace. These people are out for war and bloodshed. They have been out for war and bloodshed for 20 years. That is the only reason that the Jews have kept themselves segregated from the rest of humanity, is so that they can conduct this war against humanity in the name of God and in the name of peace. Because they're told at the end of this war, when they have killed all of us off, that there will be lasting peace for them and create for them heaven and a new earth in which they have a restored and a new spirit. And these people are carrying this out deliberately and persistently, and they will.
Well, I mean, the leadership knows well that these aren't even Jews. Most of this, they're Ashkenazis. They were tribal Khazarians, and then they had a kin, all this stuff. How do they square the circle of not of the racial Jewish mix? Because I know there are. I've talked to some reasonable voices about this subject. Well, there may be some Jewish peppered in there because they were Jewish rabbis in the communities and they did intermarry and whatnot. That could be also for any of the Christians that are there. I mean, I could have in my past some blood of Judaism, or you could, or everything. The fact of the matter is, these people, if you examine their argument, it's a lie from start to finish. So what is the real reason for these leadership doing this? They're not even doing it in the name of biblical prophecy.
The reason is that the very wealthiest among the Jews want to become the Messiah. They are duty-bound as Messiah to conduct a war against humanity. They are duty-bound to judge the Gentiles, to enslave them, and then to kill them. And they have been carrying that out for thousands of years. The Messiah to the Jews is a political figure. He is the King of the Jews. Messiah means anointed, and the anointed one is the King. Now, the Rothschilds in the 1800s declared that they sought to become the King of the Jews, and they proposed the idea that they would buy Palestine, but the Jews did not want to go to Palestine. So they had to create 2 world wars to take Palestine from the indigenous peoples, to weaken all the governments in the area so they could not on, and also to terrorize the Jews, to force them to flee to Palestine. Now, all these are a deliberate action, these monsters, to fulfill the horrific genocidal prophecies that constitute Judaism. And people are blind to it because the Christians believe that these are divine prophecies, and they have been deceived as to what the Gospels themselves say.